Hello and welcome to Seeking the Light of a Thousand Suns. Today we're going to delve into exploring the phenomenon that has taken the internet by storm. That is autonomous sensory meridian response, also known as ASMR, brought to you by hosts Maya Skye Reika and Gia Storm. I'm going to put a little disclaimer here, a trigger warning. There are some ASMR examples that will play later that might trigger a negative response. That's not our intentions. The sounds are to give an example of what ASMR is, and they're only a few seconds long. So just make note. So Gia, can you tell us what ASMR is?
So, if you've ever experienced a tingling sensation that starts at your scalp and travels down your spine while listening to certain sounds or watching specific actions, then you might have encountered ASMR. Um, let's break it down further. ASMR, as Maya said, stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. It's a term to describe a tingling static like sensation on the skin, typically starting on the scalp and moving down the back of the neck and upper spine. Certain visual and auditory stimuli trigger this sensation, often called triggers. The tingling sensation is called paresthesia. So when you scroll through social media, you stop on a video, for example, of paint being mixed. You become almost mesmerized and watch the video for 30 minutes. Then you might ask yourself, why am I loving this video? They literally just mix paint through the whole thing, right? Well, the short answer is that you have fallen down the rabbit hole of ASMR.
So
So, go ahead. Sorry.
one of the things that this makes me think of is this also for me, this sensation that you described, I also get in like fearful situations or in a like a sensitive, as a sensitive in response to other energies or stimuli surrounding me. And so I think for the purposes of this podcast, the the discussion will be around intended um, stimuli. Even though the response is sometimes involuntary, it would be intended um, usage of ASMR. So, to better understand this, Gia, can we examine some of the components?
Oh, yes. So let's start with some terms first. Autonomous. Autonomous refers to the sensation being spontaneous and self contained, meaning it doesn't require any direct physical stimulus like touch. It happens internally, often without warning. The term sensory indicates that this response involves the senses, primarily hearing and sight, but sometimes touch. Meridian is used metaphorically, drawing on pathways or channels in the body, similar to acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine concepts. However, it's not scientifically linked to those practices. And then we have response, which signifies that ASMR is a reaction to external stimuli. Typically sounds like whispering, tapping, or brushing, or visual stimuli like watching someone perform a task carefully. Um, ASMR produces a euphoric feeling as a relaxing sensory and emotional response, but it does not work for everyone.
That
It
makes me think when you say
Mhm.
visual stimuli, like watching someone perform a task carefully, that makes me think of, remember when we used to go to the Renaissance Festival together
Yes.
and they had the glass blowing?
Oh, yes.
And for me, I guess you could say that was like an ASMR response to stand there and watch this careful spinning of the hot, you know, glowing blob, beginnings of the glass and watch it being spun and
Yep.
shaped into something. And I could stand there and just watch and watch and watch. And there was like this
Mm-hmm.
calming, um, I don't want to say amazement, but amazement too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
but it brought that excitement and curiosity and these all these different bodily sensations.
ASMR definitely would be considered that. Um, you made me think too of another one there. There is the statue water fountain lady. Um, oh, yeah, yes, the feelings, the the mesmerizing. I sit there and I just am mesmerized to the point of even like I wouldn't say zoning out, but more just zoning in fully on like the water spraying and her movements. And it does the same thing. It just
Or,
puts me in a state of relaxation.
or like fire dancing.
Yes. Yes.
That is another one that I could just sit and watch and zone out.
hmm So ASMR's origins are as old as time itself. However, with the advent of social media, it was given a name and its initial outlet by Jennifer Allen, who was a participant in an online forum. So here's some examples of triggers. Okay. These are any one of these could be an ASMR trigger for people that ASMR works for. Softly spoken or whispering voices. A person blows or exhales into a microphone. Certain types of music, quiet, repetitive sounds that come from someone doing a mundane task, like turning a page of a book or stirring a pot. Getting makeup put on by someone else or having your hair styled. Crinkling of items like clothes, paper, or substances like aluminum foil or styrofoam. Watching paint be mixed or watching someone paint something. Non vocal ambient noises from human activities like scratching, tapping, or manipulating fabric. Light touch against the skin or brushing against the skin. And for some, even clinical medical exams or even dental cleanings can produce ASMR, um, are triggers for it.
So I never thought about this before, but being on this topic and that example you gave about getting your makeup or your hair styled, that is
Mhm.
a really
Yes.
big trigger of relaxation and the whole goosebumpy, tingly feeling and stuff like that.
Mhm.
As soon as somebody touches and moves their fingers on your scalp, or when they start putting the makeup on your cheeks or your eyelids, and you start to feel that tingling and relaxation feeling.
Mhm.
I never would have thought of that as being a ASMR trigger. Um, it never occurred to me. I knew it was an involuntary response, of course,
Mhm.
but it never crossed my mind.
Well, yeah, and of course, like the biologist in me immediately starts to associate some of this with, primate grooming, right? And I have to give love to the bonobos. And for example, when we say this is as old as time itself, right? And primates are not the only animals who do such activities, but it's just a really good example. So when you look at how bonobos groom one another, from what we know, they do that as a way to form bonds with one another. Whether it's a mom bonoboo cleaning her child bonoboo, picking the bugs off of it, doing the little scratching, or any member of the bonoboo family who's doing that, there is a calming appearance, at least from what we can observe with them, that occurs during such acts. We being primates are no different. And, having different triggers of different sounds and visuals or touches can, either take us one way, positive, or another way, negative. So I find that quite fascinating that yes, like I love getting my hair washed by someone else. And I know some beauticians who absolutely love washing someone's hair. It's like this shared bond that we create unintentionally, right? And it is an ASMR trigger.
I was thinking about the whispering. Um, I had a friend that had a text notification, and it would just give me the wills and do the whole hair stand up and everything every time it went off. And she thought it was funny because she'd see me, you know, uh, it,
Oh,
it was I see. And to me, like that's super creepy, but she
mm-hmm.
absolutely loved it. So what it did for her, it obviously didn't do for me.
No, it did not do the same.
But when I think of this though, there are some sounds and voices that really, really, really calm me. Um, Morgan Freeman's voice,
Oh, I like this
Vin
voice.
Diesel's voice, and the
Yes.
deeper and more growly it is. Um, who's the guy that did the voice on Lion King? Do you
Uh,
remember?
James Earl Jones,
James Earl Jones.
Darth Vader, I
It's
think.
almost so pleasurable, it's almost wrong.
Yes, yes.
Um, and
And there are those kinds of ASMR videos too, and sounds that
I'm gonna need to be digging around for those, I guess.
I'll send you a few. I have no
Yeah,
shame.
there's just something about it that not only brings like the goosebumps and the falling into that meditative type state, but there's almost like with the tone, and we'll go into some frequencies and sound healing later, but there's almost something about the tone that would create like a sensual type of sensation.
Yes, yes. And when you think about it, right, like, each one of these sensations and emotions are, yes, they're different things that can be stimulated through ASMR. you know, and sensuality is one of those. The feeling of it, for some people, the sensual actually creates a calm feeling for them. It relaxes them.
So this phenomenon, it's growing tremendously. How would people find more of the stimuli and more of the examples of ASMR?
Yes, actually, it's grown, like you said, so tremendously that it's everywhere. Like there's so many different videos. If you type in ASMR um, on YouTube, TikTok, there's some creators that's what they do in their live streams. They do ASMR live streams. And then there's Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Store, Google Play.
So would you just use that keyword, the acronym ASMR?
Yes. Now, when you do pull it up, right? I mean, there's going to be all kinds of different ASMR because there's all kinds of different people, right? Um, and so you'll want to kind of look for the playlists or songs or videos that appeal to you. For example, if you don't like the sound of paper crinkling, yeah, you're not gonna want to watch this because that is all that video or that soundtrack is paper, different types of paper being crinkled. Another thing too is so ASMR, there's even like aspects of watching someone play a video game, right? That's ASMR, which you can find out there. So these creators are known as ASMRtists. They produce content specifically designed to trigger ASMR. Um, Now, there's also apps like Calm, where there's ASMR with binaural, there's ASMR mixed with meditation, etc. So a large variety out there for one to explore.
So with each person being uniquely different,
Mhm.
the idea is to find content for relaxing, to relieve stress, to
Yes.
help you meditate or help you sleep or um, give you like a soothing nature, not so much listening to something that's going to agitate or produce negative feelings or energies.
Right. And here's just one quick note to add to that, right? So a lot of therapists have started to incorporate ASMR into their clinical practices to help people cope with certain diagnoses. It is in those moments that, of course, it should be agreed upon by the person this is being performed on that they want to delve into those different types of sounds, like even the not so negative, right? Um, and so it's just one thing to note that if you go about this in therapy, it is something that should be getting discussed by the therapist with you in full. So even if there's negative ASMRs being used, it's you have consented to it.
So I know that you've done some looking at the science and the like studies involving
Mhm.
ASMR. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. While the exact mechanisms are not fully understood, there's growing interest in the academic community. Researchers are exploring how ASMR affects the brain and body. Some studies suggest it may activate areas of the brain associated with relaxation and social bonding. So, for example, there was a 2018 study published in the journal PLOS1, which found that people who experience ASMR showed reduced heart rates and increased skin conductance levels while watching ASMR videos, indicating a state of relaxation. The study also suggested that ASMR might be linked to brain connectivity patterns similar to those associated with music induced chills. It releases the feel good neurotransmitters such as endorphins, oxytocin, and dopamine. And quick throw out here when we're talking about oxytocin and endorphins and dopamine, we're talking about the ones that you naturally produce within your body, not the ones that a person might take in addition, which would not
Not
produce a positive
recreational,
effect.
right?
Yes, not recreational. And you know what? Not even clinical. It's something that you would want to talk to your doctor about. So, if your doctor's prescribed you oxytocin, maybe doing ASMR in addition to that is not the best route, considering that ASMR helps you to release more of these chemicals. And
I'm glad that you brought that up
yeah,
because I know that some people with Parkinson's
mhm.
and other type of neurological disorders will get prescribed dopamine.
Yes.
So that's a good thing to bring up to always
Well,
do.
and yeah, and you look at the addiction aspect of it, right? Because the addiction happens within the brain too, within the neurotransmitters as well. And so if one is so a human body is, unless you have a diagnosed disorder, right, or disease that doesn't allow your body to produce endorphins, oxytocin, and or dopamine, your body is producing what you need. Okay. Now, when these chemicals are added externally, in addition, um, now different new receptors are added to the brain. Then, when the ASMR, let's say you do ASMR on top of that, right? Or even without it, let's just start at stage two, right? Those, you're taking off those medications, right? Those new receptors are going to freak out. And that's what causes those addiction side effects, right? So if you're doing ASMR on top of your body making these natural chemicals, on top of being prescribed this medication, you're overdoing it and you're creating so many more receptors in your brain. It's going to be a hot mess when you turn the ASMR off. And then it'll be even a hotter mess when you're off those medications. That's why they have to wean them down so that it gives us time, the brain time to close those receptors naturally. So yeah, it's really important to note that um, there is a link that we're going to put in the description of this, which is the link to read more about the different studies, citations, and also this doctor that I'm going to bring up here in just a moment. In this link, there's also on the journal that was written, the link is for Cleveland Clinic. And in this journal, it also lists out a lot of folks who like different diagnoses where ASMR might not work for these folks. So it's a good reference to check. Okay, so according to Dr. Albers, see the Cleveland Clinic link, please, for citation and studies. ASMR alters your brain waves, strengthens the theta waves, and enhances your mood. So, regions of the brain that produce the reward and emotional arousal activate during ASMR, and flood your body with certain hormones that can help improve the symptoms of chronic pain, for example. There's, despite this example, like this insight, right? ASMR is still a relatively new field of study, and there's so much more to learn about why it affects some people and not others, as well as how it can be harnessed for therapeutic purposes.
So even though ASMR is this big phenomenon now, it's not something new. Um, it looks like it's making its way more into the mainstream culture. Where else would people see instances or um, have stimuli, ASMR like stimuli?
Oh yes. So there are a lot of major brands and celebrities who are beginning to incorporate ASMR into their marketing and media projects, from ASMR themed commercials to ASMR performances on late night TV. It's becoming clear that this once niche interest is gaining widespread recognition. Moreover, ASMR has found a home in various wellness and mental health practices. Therapists and counselors are starting to explore how ASMR can be used as a tool for relaxation and mental health support. It's becoming a part of the broader conversation, right, about self care and mindfulness. One thing that I want to note, though, is personally, I question the ethics of it being in marketing. It's it's like my body, my choice, right? I very much like, subliminal messaging that's been put into marketing.
It's like a
And
manipulative persuasion.
it is very much manipulative. And they're doing it, it's direct to your brain without you realizing it, to bring out, trigger an emotional response. So to
Not
get up
just
and
that,
purchase
but
their products.
the dopamine, the
Yes.
oxytocin, right? So not only are you being by the advertisement itself
Yes.
manipulated, um, but you're also having, I guess,
Your brain
programmed
chemicals messed with.
feelings,
Mhm.
programmed involuntary feelings. That's just
Yes. Yeah. And it is changing your brain chemistry. And whether it's a temporary thing or a permanent thing, it's unethical to me that they're allowed to do that. If I choose, I should be able to choose when and where and how my dopamine levels should be raised. And my body should be flooded with hormones. I don't want some mattress commercial to do that to me.
right.
So, right,
I Googled ASMR commercials. Encourage others to do that as well. One of the ones that came up was a 2019 Super Bowl commercial for Michelob. I did not have time to watch it before we started here tonight, but I intend to watch it. Not because I want to be manipulated and programmed and be given involuntary feelings, but because I want to know what it would look like now that I know what it is.
yes,
Like to analyze like how it's happening so I can recognize that type of manipulation.
yes. Like, why is this beer commercial making me feel good and high right now?
Right.
Go away, beer commercial. No, totally. So There are some diagnoses that ASMR is being used in therapy for, such as insomnia, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and PTSD. And, it's something that you'll want to ask your therapist about and see if it's safe for you. Some creators of ASMR utilize binaural recording to help further stimulate and create a three-dimensional environment's acoustics. So hearing videos that combine ASMR with binaural beats adds pleasurable sensations and can produce calm and equanimity within oneself.
You brought something up between
Mhm.
just the two of us that I think is really important about the binaural beats.
Yes.
And that was when you had said um, the reason for need of headphones. So can you touch that real quick too?
Oh, yes, of course. So when listening, actually, even when listening to ASMR, but even more so when listening to binaural beats, binaural sounds, they recommend typically prior to the recording for you to be listening to it in a relaxing position, no driving, none of that, right? And to be listening to it through headphones. And the reason is what happens with these sounds is that they typically use two, sometimes more microphones to record these sounds. That way, it it goes through both hemispheres of the brain. It hits all these different levels of your eardrums in both ears, and then adding the ASMR on top of that, right? It's producing this 360-degree experience for you. And in that experience, you get the highest amount of benefit
And
from the
someone,
intention of that recording.
sorry, somebody once told me, and I don't remember if it was you or if it was someone else, but someone once told me that not all wireless headsets will give you that experience.
Yeah.
Um, there, they, the recommendation is a actual wired headset. However, there are some wireless Bluetooth headsets that do produce the correct, changing back and forth of the ears and levels of tones, but I, for one, couldn't tell you which ones they do and which ones that don't.
Well, and you're typically going to be paying more for those headphones, you know. It's like if you look, for example, we don't get any advertising money for this. So I'm just giving an example. Bose, right? Bose sound bars, speakers, so on and so forth. It's going to cost you more money to buy Bose headphones. However, they are intricately made to be able to um, decipher and send back out through the output all those different sound levels. There's a lot more besides Bose, but it's just an example. And so you're gonna want to pay attention to what kind of headphones you have. Generally, I find that I have an Apple iPhone, and the iPhone earbuds that came with mine, they give me pretty decent sound range.
Are they wired though, or are they
Yeah, they're
wireless?
wired.
Okay.
Wired.
Yeah.
Yep, I don't do wireless, except for these. But otherwise, even at work, like I do wired. And here's the reason why, because when you are directly connected through the wire, you're not getting any of the interruptions of waves, whether they're sound waves, light waves, radio waves, etc.
Didn't even think
That
of that.
Yeah, so like, I always say like all around us there's tons of different waves and energy and frequencies and all that stuff, right? And like even like the Bluetooth, right? your Bluetooth could, drop in signal. The Bluetooth could have a weaker signal sometimes. And you will not then experience that same raw sound that they wanted you to experience, even in music. Um, I mean, they're great when you're going like and you're working out, right? But when you need the sound for something like ASMR or meditation, yes, go wired, go a little bit above the cheapest ones you can find. Take, treat yourself. So, one other fascinating note about binaural beats with ASMR is that they were predominantly developed and utilized by the Monroe Institute as part of the Stargate Project, aka Project Gateway, aka Gateway Experience.
That whole thing is
Yeah,
so interesting
it's
within itself.
fascinating.
If anybody wants to know what the CIA studies were with the Monroe Institute on these projects, these are available on the Federal Archives, and it is super interesting. I'll drop a link in our podcast
Yes,
description if anybody wants to check out and learn more about these things.
yes. 1958 was when it first began. It's fascinating. So then we did mention at the beginning that we were going to have some examples. Okay.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
here is that point in the podcast episode where, again, the trigger warning is coming up.
A variety of sounds that may be pleasant or unpleasant because everybody's different.
Yes. So we'll give you a moment, not a full minute. And then I will go ahead and we'll do some examples. Okay.
So for anyone that's watching the video, whether it be, Spotify, YouTube, and you don't want to hear the sounds, you will see on the screen a foresty, grassy background when the sounds are playing. And when the sounds are completed, that will be gone. So you'll be able to just fast forward until you don't see the screen image with the forestry.
Okay. Playing sample sounds in 3, 2, 1. So this first example is that example that was mentioned about like crinkling things, manipulating fabrics, paper, etc. So crinkling whispers is what's going to be played right now. The next one is going to be open fire zen, fire crackling sound. Next is rain puddles. we have pop rocks. This next one is ASMR wave sound. This one here, I'm going to give you as an example of plastic sounds, but this one also not only has the ASMR, but also has some binaural beats incorporated into it. See if I can find one here to end it up on that is more calming here for more people. That one almost had me falling asleep there. So there we go. Those are some examples. There's so many more out there, though.
So this is really a testament to the power of our senses and the unique ways that we can look for comfort and relaxation in our daily lives. These are just a few examples. I think a lot of people are subject to ASMR and don't even realize that that is in fact what it is. Many meditation type tracks and things like that, I think we're just associated with the feeling and knowing and recognizing that feeling, but not really realizing that that is ASMR. We hope that you found this informative and intriguing. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Our next episode will be sound healing, which will kind of, play off of this a little bit. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends. And as always, if you have any topics you'd like us to cover in our future episodes, please contact us on social media or our website. All of our social media is under Seeking the Light of 1000suns.com. So that's the number 1000. And our website is www.seekingthelightofA1000suns.com. Again, the number 1000. Thank you for listening. Until next time,
Thank
stay
you.
blessed.